The Council of Franks, on behalf of delicious Oscar Mayer 100% beef franks, has declared its official position. Oscar Mayer 100% beef franks are 100% beef frank delicious. This summer, choose delicious. Choose 100% beef. Keep it Oscar.
Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we're talking about the Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup. Yay! And then we'll talk about the A's. We'll remember an iconic and eccentric Las Vegan, and we'll talk about excellent barbecue around the valley. I'm joined by publisher of the List.Vegas, Andrew Corrali, and co-host David Figler. It's Friday, June 16th. I'm Vogue Robinson, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Hello, Andrew. Hello, David. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Vogue. Hey, Las Vegas.
Well, we got to talk about, obviously, number one thing is that we won the Stanley Cup. Yay! So, I mean, they're a pretty young team, but they have a dedicated fan base, also kind of like a lore that has risen up around them. So, Andrew, can you give us some examples of our Golden Knights stories?
Oh, yeah. I think it's fascinating how this team has been so strongly embraced by the community. And of course, we all know that it has to do with the origin story, how they started in the wake of October 1st, terrible mass shooting. And I think that accounts for a lot of that community love for VGK. Yeah. And it's always fascinating to me that all these kind of rituals and traditions and lore kind of, accretes around the team. And I was thinking about some of them. Of course, there's the way people all shout "Night" in unison during that, line of the national anthem, proof through the night. Yeah. And that's always a rousing moment. The flamingos thing is particularly fascinating to me. And
what's the flamingos thing?
So it started in 2018. This local gentleman, Drew Johnson, started bringing flamingos to the game, and it kind of caught on. So now people will toss them on the ice after a victorious game. They'll bring stuffed flamingos, flamingo shirts, and I thought that was always kind of an interesting sort of parallel in that flamingos technically have very little to do with Las Vegas, right? They're not native to Southern Nevada, but there's the iconic Flamingo Hotel, Flamingo Road. And so in a way, in as much as hockey is kind of a counterintuitive join with Las Vegas, I think the flamingo thing is an apt ritual associated with the VGK. Another thing they do is apparently the VGK team takes this Elvis wig and glasses with them whenever they're
oh my gosh
touring, and they'll wear it after a victorious game. Word is that it remains unwashed and gets quite funky.
Oh, that's
over
gross.
The course of the season. Yeah, so it's kind of like a little mini MVP thing that they do after any given game. The dubious honoree gets to wear said Elvis wig, and other rituals as well in hockey that are always fun. The playoff beards, where they don't shave during the entire playoff. Sporting these rich, luxurious medieval beards. But actually, and a lot of the fans, one of my good friends is a mega fan. Of course, he was at the Stanley Cup game. He'll wear or not wear or rewear certain items. If he wore them during a victorious game, he'll wear it again, after washing it. But if he wears a jersey during a game where they lose, won't ever wear it again, during the season. It's sort of like off limit. So, there's a lot of sort of magical thinking that goes along with hockey. So, yeah, always fascinating. I think it just shows how much you've come to love the Golden Knights. Team sports to me is like, it's kind of like your least toxic form of tribalism that you can, kind of engage in, right? Yeah, it can get heated, can get nasty, but overall, fairly harmless. I love it. David, did you ever think that Las Vegas would have such team spirit? As a born and raised Las Vegan, I always thought the city was like weirdly team spirit proof because, of our transients, our supposed rootlessness. So I always thought it was just really exciting to, finally have a team where people actually really rally together. I kind of thought we would never have that. How about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Hashtag Vegas born emoji. Not surprised. I lived through UNLV's 1990 triumph on the national stage, and the entire city was, dare I say, even more excited than what's going on right now with the Stanley Cup. And hockey has been in Las Vegas. People tend to forget. It didn't come out of nowhere. We've had semi-professional and professional teams floating in and out of our desert ice rinks with their sand-proof Zambonis since the late 1960s. And so, hockey is part of the fabric. I am excited at the level of excitement, but as many people have said, Vegas truly does love a winner unless we could exploit the loser.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, and that's good. That's good context because, we have been a hockey town. We had some short-lived teams over the years, but I feel like, the glue is sticking, and it's great to see the team spirit out there in the community.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what's even funnier, guys? This morning I was Googling stuff, and if you type Golden Knights into Google, the scores will pop up for the Stanley Cup, and then animated fireworks pop up on the screen. So even Google is celebrating us, y'all. So
okay, I thought I'd been hacked or something.
Oh, but I also want to really quickly mention that Asia Wilson put out a shade tweet towards the president of the United States, who congratulated the Vegas Golden Knights on bringing Las Vegas its first major professional championship. And she's like, hello, September, the Aces.
Oh, right.
We're still waiting for
Major
that invite
oversight
to the White House. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting, too. And I wonder if a lot of people are going to jump on her bandwagon saying, as much as we're proud of the Golden Knights, we're also proud of the Aces. They also had a parade down the strip.
Yep.
Right. That's Biden's issues and his team's trash oversight. But either way, I mean, she could write a letter and complain to him directly. But right underneath their winning, it's deflating their win. So for me today, we're going to celebrate. We can celebrate what the Stanley Cup win is for the Vegas Knights, them hitting their specific goal and working hard. And one team winning doesn't decrease the win of the other team. We celebrated the Aces when they won, and today we're celebrating the Stanley Cup winning Golden Knights.
I don't know. Just a whole lot of winning going on in Las Vegas right now,
Exactly.
with the exception of possibly baseball things.
What a transition.
On that note, let's talk about the A's probably coming to Vegas. What's the latest update?
Well, yeah, it looks like that public financing piece is now a done deal. The special session come to the close. Governor signs, and boom, $380 million package to the billionaire to bring his troubled Oakland A's to Las Vegas, maybe. So basically, there was a lot of behind the scenes, no transparency, horse trading with legislators and negotiating, though it doesn't sound like they really were at the top of their negotiating game. And now the A's have the option to come here because that part of the puzzle has been put into place. Here's funny, though. They're still seemingly talking with Oakland and other places, so this may have all have been just a bargaining chip at the end of the day. I don't know. Are we just exhausted about thinking and talking about the A's, y'all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the thing that's interesting to me is the disconnect between just the fierce political will to bring this team to town and the sort of machinations that are, happening in the legislature. The disconnect with what seems to me public opinion, and by public opinion, I mean on the socials, it seems like everybody is on broad principle against the idea of spending public money to bring this team to town. And it's just, dismaying to me that the legislature's, sort of will to bring the A's to Las Vegas is completely unaligned with, how your average person kind of feels about it.
And not just social medias, Andrew, but, the thousands of people who bother to register and lodge their opinion on the legislative website were in the high 80s against this project. High 80s. I mean, Vogue, does it offend you in any way that like all this deal making is happening and as members of the public, we don't know if it's good deal making, bad deal making, or what it even entails?
I mean, I don't feel offended because it's par for the course and I called it. So
you did.
I'm so surprised. So I'm, it's disappointing to watch it all unfold again and again and again. And, I hope when they come, they do a lot of great community service work and work with some of our kids in town that want to become, professional baseball players. And I hope they donate some money into the community because I feel like they're coming. So here we go.
Wow, the disappointed resignation in your voice. Yeah, says it all.
This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. What's new with United? New and redesigned planes with things like larger overhead bins with room for everyone's roller bag, power outlets at every seat, screens at every seat, and the ability to connect your Bluetooth headphones to those screens. Plan your trip today at united.com or on their award-winning app. This amount is an estimated average of current aircraft delivery schedules. Final delivery schedule subject to change.
While we're on topics that are sad, I know.
Not tragic sad.
A gentleman who I've literally heard this man called like a true Las Vegas weirdo. It was like a loving description, but also people called this man their favorite politician. We're talking about former Lieutenant Governor of Nevada, Lonnie Hammergren. He passed away. And I even saw somebody call him an East Side legend. And so there's like so much interesting bipartisan...
Sand Hill represent!
bipartisan love for Lonnie Hammergren.
Sand Hill Flamingo crew.
So David, tell us why people love him so much.
For a crusty old white guy Republican, beloved. And I'm on that bandwagon too and have been for many, many years. Lonnie Hammergren, clearly one of a kind. I mean, he was 85 years old, instantly recognizable out in the world with his white mustache and patriotic gear. He was Nevada's first neurosurgeon, I believe, back to 1971. Wow. He was a politician. He was on our Board of Regents when that seemed to matter even more than it does now. He was a Republican lieutenant governor under a Democratic governor, Bob Miller.
That's cool.
But probably more than anything else, and he had some fierce and funny political campaigns. He used to distribute these extraordinarily impractical pencils with a giant hammer eraser on it. So hammer from Hammergren, that sort of thing. Totally fun. Collector items if you have them. But probably, like I said, more than anything else, it was his eclectic collection of artifacts and memorabilia, some 3 stories high, that he kept in his backyard.
I love it.
And he would open his house and the house next door and the house next door, which he purchased all of them, let people come in, especially on Nevada Day. It would be a fundraiser for some local charity. Oftentimes the Boy Scouts were inside there selling hot dogs and lemonade. And you would go on this makeshift rickety tour, some of which were probably deadly in a lot of ways. I can't imagine that they complied with fire codes. But you would see replica Apollo capsules and signage from old Las Vegas casinos and janky amusement rides. He once staged his own funeral or wake like years ago and had a New Orleans jazz band.
I'm so confused.
And wait, he had an Egyptian sarcophagus on his collection, and he buried himself and then resurrected himself as part of the shtick. I mean, this guy was out there and wonderful.
Vegas Jesus.
Oh, he's a Nevada colorful character for the ages. He was also featured on 2 TV shows. Well, at least 2 TV shows. One, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, when he got married in 1989.
Nice.
But also, unsurprisingly, Hoarders. And his appearance on Hoarders was cringe.
Really?
Oh. Well, I love, like, the focus on this, like, over-the-top collection. I feel like, so Vegas has so many people that become characters, right? Andrew, do you feel like, he's like a dying breed? Is Vegas getting less weird now?
I kind of do think so. I was thinking about that. I mean, really, he's sort of a paragon of harmless eccentricity. When you say weirdo or weird, I think artists, or bohemians, haven't heard that word in a while. But, in as much as it's just getting expensive as hell to live in Las Vegas, given like, rising rents and, whatever the hell's going on with home prices. I have a lot of artist friends who are looking at other pastures because it's not as, a sort of welcoming place to the weird as it used to be. So in that kind of smaller sort of local sense, I would argue yes. So I know it's a cliche to say, but maybe we need a Keep Vegas Weird campaign.
I feel like it's never gonna not be a weird city. Like, I was describing the city to someone who was brand new, and I was like, it's a weird city. Like, I don't know, just wherever you're from, Vegas is not like that. I promise that.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of the ways that when people see an old sign or something like that, they're like, oh, I hope that goes to the Neon Museum. If there was any sort of weird Vegas artifact at a nightclub or on the street or just something that probably wasn't going to work but just was over the top, you used to say, I hope that winds up in Lonnie's backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of his impact.
Yeah.
Is it true that he had to sell his main house because he had spent so much money on acquiring objects that he was in debt?
That was the subject of that Hoarders episode.
Oh.
There was a discussion of the fine line between rich people being collectors and poor people being hoarders. And they kind of were like, hey, Lonnie, no matter how much money you have, you're a hoarder.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came out as like, oh, yeah, and now we're like deep in debt because of all this, and we're probably going to lose our house.
Wow.
So they had convinced him to sell off some of the items. And when it didn't garner a lot of money, because, I mean, let's face it, as cool as it was in that backyard, it was Sanford and Son elevated. It was junk. It was a lot of junk. It was cool junk. I mean, I got to see a Batmobile replica.
Yeah. And there's a niche market for that kind of stuff.
But it didn't make the money that they needed. And, so it was a little sad near the end. But he has family in town. And look, in his passing, I don't think anyone's going to remember his politics. He was fairly conservative and very patriotic in his thinking, if you just kind of read between the lines there. But he's going to be remembered as just being a Vegas original and somebody who loved this city and the community as much as anyone can. And he put literally his money where his mouth is and created a spectacle on the East Side. So rest in peace, Lonnie Hammergren, and condolences to his family. May his memory be a blessing to all who knew him and all who toured that janky, crazy, wonderful backyard.
Today, this is the morning episode. It's like, this is the roller coaster episode, because what we're going to talk about now is one of my favorite barbecue spots in Vegas actually had an electrical fire. And the last time I checked, the owners were saying that it's going to be a total loss. So we're going to talk about Jessie Rae's Barbecue.
Another RIP.
Well, the good news is Jessie Rae's has a Henderson location. So now you just got to go a little bit further out to go and get what they have coined as their Las Vegas style barbecue. The location that had the electrical fire, it was located like kind of behind Mandalay Bay. And I love that their menu used to have like quotes from different customers, just kind of everyday basic quotes on the menu of just, this was delicious. Like not a high end review, just like an everyday person being like, I'm from the South and this was delicious.
Legit.
Like those were like the little things that showed what they were about. And so they were very unassuming, what I would describe as hole in the wall. And then appealed to like the kid at heart because they had waffle fries, they had tater tots, and then they stuck to their kind of regular elements of their menu of like the smoked ribs, chicken, pulled pork, hot links, brisket. And in true Vegas fashion, there was one big ass item that, basically is, good for heart attacks, but was the Fortress, which is a crown rack of spare ribs stuffed with French fries and mac and cheese, your choice of another meat, and then topped, like it's a cherry, but topped with a hot link and then barbecue sauce drizzled across the top.
And it was called the Fortress?
The Fortress.
Oh my God,
and
truly,
you blow in
truly.
the candle and you root for your home team.
Yeah, you just have a massive coronary.
That would be great for, a game. And usually, it lists as feeds too. You could probably feed more people with it. But
wow.
It was one of my favorite spots. Like,
oh my God. And you said that they call themselves Las Vegas style barbecue?
Las Vegas style barbecue, yeah.
What does that entail? Like, what style is that?
Bold. I don't care. That's bold. To be Las Vegas style anything in culinary, I love it.
Right.
I mean, hats off to your confidence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I think the location, that use of one big over the top item, and some places I go to, I want to know the ingredients, right? I'm like, what's in this sauce? Because they sell their sauce. It was bottled. I'll ask questions about what's the process? How is this cooked? This place, I don't want any of that information. I don't care. I just know it was delicious. I don't intend to try and recreate this magic. I just want to go to this hole in the wall spot, order my good food, get my tray, know that my fingers are going to be sticky, and maybe the table's going to be sticky still because it's barbecue sauce. Get these oversized buns and enjoy them. So I think, just the flavors of their barbecue sauces, and then that decision to have one over the top thing is part of the Vegas style. But also they were kind. They are kind.
Yeah.
It's a kind like family business. David, do you have a favorite barbecue spot in town?
I'm a downtowner, and so I was really happy when Soul Belly showed up. But I'm gonna just say,
is it good?
It's a little bougie. It's become a little pricey. The portions have shrunk a little since they first opened.
Oh,
but
really?
I'm gonna say it's still damn good barbecue. I like it very, very much. And also a little hidden treasure. If the line's too long at Soul Belly or you miss the hours or something like that, there's also a place across the street that's very good too. It's called Brazewood Barbecue, and it's kind of on the same block as Abel Baker. And because Soul Belly got, deservedly so much attention, a lot of people overlook Brazewood, but it's right next to Horse Trailer Hideout, which is a cute little drinking spot. It's a little smaller, a little less ambitious, I think, to be kind of the place like Soul Belly, but two great options down on Main Street.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Soul Belly as well. And Bruce Kallman, the chef and owner of Soul Belly, he's got an interesting philosophy. His philosophy is like not focusing on any one region. It's kind of a greatest hits kind of thing where he'll do like the briskets like Texas style, the pork ribs are Memphis style. Does like North Carolina dry rubs. So in that sense, it's also Las Vegas style in that it steals from everywhere else and kind of and does its thing. And another thing that's cool about Soul Belly is they actually do really awesome live music programming, and you can see some really good rock bands there on the weekend. Some young local promoters are putting on some great shows. They got a blues jam that they do once a month. They've nestled into the scene quite comfortably.
Word.
I like that concept of Vegas style being sort of elevated replication.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it.
Over the top. Yeah, I think both of those things are it. Over the top and elevated replication. Then if you have time to spend, a good chunk of your day, then make the trip over to John Mole's. I've literally only called it Roadkill Grill, which does not sound delicious. So I'm called by its whole name, which is John Mole's Meats and Roadkill Grill, which has the nerve to be delicious, but very like outdoor picnicky. Like you're not going to eat indoors at that location, but you can buy your meats, take them home and cook them if you want to do that. So it's both like butcher shop and buy your food, sit on the wooden picnic benches, enjoy your food. It's legendary and was on Triple D if you're a
Guy Fieri fan.
Yes. So there's lots of great barbecue all throughout town, but if you want to try Jessie Rae's, then check out their Henderson location. I don't know what they're going to do with the other one, whether or not they're going to try to fix it. I know on their socials, they said they're not putting out a GoFundMe or anything like that. So if you see a crowdfunding thing, it is not the owners, so do not donate to it.
Good to know.
Andrew and David, thank you so much for hanging out on CityCast Las Vegas. It's been great talking to you this morning.
Thank you. Always fun.
Always a fun Friday.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our lead producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editors are Scott Dickensheets and Adrian Gonzalez. Our hosts are David Figler and me, Vogue Robinson. Music is by OG Moose and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuwubi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and tell a friend. Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Is this where I insert my inappropriate joke about burnt ends being readily available at the old location? Maybe not.
And I'll do the downward slide whistle.
Womp, womp, womp. Or the loser horn from Price is Right.
Or the Charlie Brown teacher voice.
Womp, 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 womp.